Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's GLSU webinar presented by Z-Option. My name is Cindy Underwood. I will be moderating today's session. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us for this webinar. Our presenter today is Tim Curtin. Tim is a solutions specialist with Z-Option. I will turn the webinar over to Tim shortly, but first, let's review a few housekeeping things before starting. First, audio is available by dialing the number provided. If you're having any audio issues, you may notify the webinar organizers through the chat panel, and we will try to assist you with your audio issues. If you have any questions during the session, we ask that you prepare them for the end of the webinar. You may type your questions into the questions panel or the chat box, and we will try to answer most of your questions during our Q&A session near the end. The format for today's webinar will include an introduction followed by a review of GLSU. After a brief demo, we will have time for questions, followed by a quick wrap-up. Now it's time for me to turn the presentation over to Tim, who will share information on GLSU.
Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody joining us today for this webinar. I'm going to start and tell you a little bit about Z-Option itself. Z-Option is located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas in Lewisville. We've been around for about 18 years, and the company was formed by accountants and programmers who were writing certain programs to do what we're going to be talking about today. And they decided to form a company and write what we consider the Cadillac of journal entry upload tools. Z-Option is an SAP software solutions partner. We work exclusively in SAP, and the GLSU product you're going to see today is our flagship product for uploading finance documents, but as you'll see here in just a second, we have other products as well. We have customers of all sizes and in all industries all around the world, and you'll see a short little snapshot of some of those. And we really pride ourselves on providing world-class products and support to our customers so you guys can spend time doing some of the more valuable tasks for your organizations. You see by our logo there in the bottom right-hand corner, we are an SAP certified on the HANA platform, SAP's new database platform. So Z-Option provides what we consider, again, the best of the best spreadsheet integration solutions. Today we're going to be talking about GLSU, the finance upload tool. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the EasyScript product, which is also an Excel-based scripting solution to do all of those tasks, things like creating material masters or any type of master data, purchase orders, sales orders, all those kinds of things. And that is the same time tomorrow. And then on Thursday, same time, same channel, is our Budget Loader 30-minute webinar. And our Budget Loader is an upload tool where you can upload CO planning data from Microsoft Excel into SAP very quickly, as you'll see, has a lot of the same characteristics of our product today. So we always begin with, why do you need an Excel uploader? It's really pretty simple. Everybody uses Excel in the finance world. As much as people say they want to get away from Excel, everybody uses it in their day-to-day activities. And our products use all the standard Excel functionality to calculate those values that you would normally calculate using Excel or put them in the right categories. You'll never have to rekey this stuff. So many times people key it into Excel, print it off, set it next to their keyboard, and start keying it into SAP. And what you'll see today, you don't have to have that second step anymore. That minimizes the chances of errors, of course. We're all prone to keying errors. And you can create more detail in less time with less effort. As you'll see, we can upload very, very quickly and have that information available. That should help improve your variance analysis and, as I mentioned, spend time on some of the more analytic tasks that you have. So why GLSU? Well, one thing, this tool is an everyday product, but you can also use this if you have new implementation of SAP or a re-implementation. So you can bring in legacy data in bulk quantities, and you can still use this on a day-to-day basis. That helps free up your development resources so they can work on other things that you can't get with an off-the-shelf solution like this. From a technical perspective, we can have you up and running on one of your test systems in about an hour, 90 minutes max, and we help you do that. We help you get the transports installed on your system. It's all in our namespace, so nothing's going to break that works today. We do all of our support and ongoing development, so again, that should free up your IT resources. So this product came about and continues to evolve based on some of these challenges that we receive from some of our customers. Many customers don't have an upload tool. They are manually keying all their journal entries into SAP, or they don't like the way SAP maybe handles some of those errors, and I'll show you how that works here today. Many times you have those large upload files. Maybe your payroll file comes in from ADP or Concur, or American Express files come in. Many times getting those large files into SAP can be a task. It helps, I mentioned new implementations. Our product handles multiple currencies, cross-company postings. We can post to AR, AP, GL, and really that last point on this slide, helping people reduce that month-end closing process. I think that's everybody's goal. It has been for a long time, and this tool will help get you there. Some of the key features, I mentioned some of these, easy user interface. It is Excel, so if you have people in your organization who are really good at Excel, super users we call them, they're going to pick this tool up in a matter of an hour, probably. It posts directly from the spreadsheet, so again, there's no import-export process or rekeying this data. One of the new features we have is a mapping interface, so if you have one of those large files, let's say American Express bill, that comes in with thousands of lines, you can map the fields directly from American Express into a GLSU template one time, and that may take a little bit of time, but every month or every week or every day, however often you get those files, at that point all you have to do is click one button, import, and it will fill it into the GLSU template for you. It's a very cool feature. We have the ability to attach the workbook to the posted documents in SAP. Auditors really like that, so they can delve right into SAP, find the GLSU workbook that you posted, and find all the detail all in one spot. Document numbers get returned. The data can be validated, and I'll show you this as well. You can validate the data before posting, so it'll give you all of your errors at one time, again, unlike SAP. We can post more than 1,000 line items, and we can post multiple documents from a single worksheet. So the way we see this product used, many times people use it for miscellaneous vendors or payroll, as I mentioned. We have a really good example, I probably won't show it today, of a travel and expense process where you fill in your travel and expense report as you do normally, and in the background it builds a GLSU template for you. Cross-company transactions, I mentioned COPA. If you use COPA, that's not a problem. And there at the bottom of this slide, you'll see our website. We have a bunch of customer success stories out on that website that kind of highlight most of these processes that you see on the screen. So if you're interested, you can go up to the website, look it up, and you can see how very large companies like Kellogg's uses GLSU to handle some of their processes. GLSU uses the SAP GUI that you normally use, so our tool doesn't require you to have a whole other set of authorizations. You'll see when we get to the demonstration here, I will log in using my normal everyday SAP user ID and password, and if I don't have authorization to do what I want to do in SAP, I'm not going to be able to do it here as well. So it uses that same authorization. So I'm going to change my screen here so you can see my demo workbook. And we're going to get right into the product. I know we only have about 20 minutes left, and I want to leave a few minutes for questions and answers at the end. So what you see on my screen here, this is just an Excel workbook. The tab that I'm on up here, as you see, GLSU is just an Excel add-in. So I'm on the GLSU tab, and all of the functions related to GLSU are right here in the ribbon, and we'll touch on most of these throughout this next 15 minutes. So I'm just on a blank sheet, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize. So I need to tell Excel that I'm using GLSU, so I'm going to click Initialize, and the first thing that pops up, it says, how do you want to initialize? Basically, there's 3 different ways, and I'm going to touch on these. I'm not going to touch on all of them, but I'm going to explain them all. This first one is initializing from a blank worksheet, just like I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to do here in about 2 minutes. The second option allows you to initialize from a stored template. Now, what that means, we have what we call premium users. These are the super users of the product, and they have the ability to create templates and then store them on the SAP server for, let's say, an AP process. They want to create the template, store it out there, and then a standard user, or that's basically every other user, can go to the server, grab that template, download it, and they know exactly what they need to populate for that process. Now, this is an optional, you don't have to do it that way. Everybody can create their own templates. The tool is very flexible, but that's what that one is. If I want to do create a template or go get a stored template. Now, this third option is what I consider about the coolest part of GLSU. This is the ability to create a template from a document that's already been posted in SAP. Now, I like to recall this reverse engineering. So this could be something that I posted 3-6 months ago. All I have to know is the document number, the fiscal year, and the header company code, and the GLSU will go back in time to that SAP document, find all the fields that are in that document, and it will populate a template for me. And I'm hoping to show you that here shortly. That whole process that I just explained takes less than 5 seconds. So I will end the demo with that. It's kind of my aha moment. I like to leave everybody with that. But I'm going to start here with this first one, the initializing from a blank template. And when I click OK, you'll see the first thing that pops up is the GLSU options menu. Now, this is where I select which SAP system I'm going to work in. So any system that you have GLSU installed on would show up in this list. This could be your sandbox, your dev, your QA, and eventually your production system, for instance. Now, I'm going to leave this right where it's at. This is our ECC 6.0 system. GLSU supports 4 different types of transactions. You can post a document or you can park a document, and those two are essentially the same other than they create a parked document in SAP versus a posted document in SAP. You can do accrual deferrals, or you can do foreign currency adjustments as well. Now, I'm going to leave this right on post because I want to show you what it looks like when it gets to SAP. We have some different validation options here, things that maybe don't like, it will stop you from posting the same journal entry twice, things like that. And again, those are things you can configure if you want that functionality or not. These radio buttons, these allow you to process the active worksheet only, which is the one that's chosen, and that's the worksheet that's going to be directly in front of me. Or if I have a workbook like I do down here with all of these tabs, and I have different journal entries on all of those, and I want to process multiple worksheets, I can select one of these other options as well. But for this demo, I'm just going to leave it as the active worksheet only. So when I click OK and I get through that screen, you'll see I have a template in the background, but the Select Fields menu pops up. And we can also get to this by coming up here to my Choose Field icon. The previous screen that you saw was my options, so you can get to it from that screen as well. But this is where you build the template. So let me explain this big box. On the left-hand side, these are all the fields in your SAP system. So this is reading directly from the SAP system that you're logged into. So if you create custom fields for yourself, those would show up in here because it is live with your SAP system. Now across the top, these are our header fields, and the lower sections, these are our detail or line item fields. And then on the right-hand side, these are all the fields that are on my spreadsheet that you see in the background. Now these are all on here by default, of course, and you can add additional defaults if there are certain fields you always want on your template. You can add those. It's a very simple process to do that. But for my example here, I have everything that I need. The one thing I don't like as a user is the location of this cost center down here. I've done journal entries for 10 years. I always like my cost center right next to my amount up there, or to the account, sorry. And I'll show you the flexibility as a user. I can just grab this cost center, and I can move it up next to my account. And when I click accept, you'll see here's my template, and there's my account and my cost center right next to each other. Now that's just how I like it. Maybe the person in the office next to me likes it in a different format. That's okay, because when it gets to SAP, it's going to go into the correct buckets or the correct fields. That allows the user to kind of have that flexibility. Now I have all of the fields that I have for my example. I'm just going to start populating this with data so you'll see how this works. I'm just going to do a simple GL entry, which is document type SA. My company code is 3000. Now, on many of these fields, I can use a lookup key, which is my F4 or function 4 key. So when I do that on document date, you'll see a calendar pops up. Today is June 14th. That's just fine. I can do the same thing over on the posting date, or since I am in Excel, I can do a simple copy and paste, Control C and Control V. Currency, US dollars. I'm just going to put some text in there. I'm going to leave the document number blank because when I get done posting this, you'll see SAP will populate that for me and bring that number back to my template. Now under posting key, I'm just going to do a simple 50, which is a GL credit. When I get to account, I'm going to use that F4 key again. And since this is a live account with SAP, you're going to see it's asking me to log in. Again, this is my normal SAP user ID and password that I use every day. And now it's going to check my authorizations, make sure that I have the ability to post to this company code, for instance. And when it's done, it's going to bring me that pick list of GL accounts for company code 3000. Again, reading directly from SAP. And there they are. Now you'll see at the top here, there's some pins. I can pin like the accounts that I use all the time, kind of like a favorites list to the top of this list. I'm glad I did because I want to use this petty cash account. I'm going to double click that. I'm going to put in a dollar amount of $100. Glsu tells me I'm out of balance, and of course I'm out of balance because I've only got one side of my entry here. I'm going to put in some text, and let me just expand that field. I'm going to do the other side of my entry, which is a GL debit. This time when I do my lookup, let's say I want my supplies account, but I don't remember what that number is, and I obviously didn't pin it up here to the top of my list, so I can search for that. I'm going to type in the word supplies. It's automatically wildcarded on both sides. And I can search for that, and it's going to bring back two that meet that criteria. Now I know from past experience I want this second one. I'm going to come over here, put my dollar amount in. It tells me I'm back in balance, and I'm just going to do a simple copy and paste of my text. And just like that, I've created a two-line journal entry that I know is balanced, and it's ready to post. But the first thing I mentioned earlier, that there's some validation functionality. Now I can validate this and make sure I don't have any errors before posting. I can do that by coming up here to my validate icon. And when I click on that, it's actually going to access SAP, check all of my information, and it's going to bring back not just the first error that I encounter, but it's going to bring back all of my errors at one time. So you see that I have 6 errors on my simple little entry. And the nice thing is it brings them back all at once. Another nice thing is it gives me information about these errors. So it's telling me what's wrong. I have a custom validation here that I set up for the demo. It tells me I spelled GLSU incorrectly. The next one's telling me that the text is suppressed in SAP for that supplies account. And I obviously, where my cursor is, you can see I have text in that field. This would be very similar if I required text and I forgot to put it in there. Next one tells me I'm missing a cost object on that line, which I forgot to put my cost center. And the fourth one there is the exact same as the first one, but it is on a different line item, so it does treat that differently. And then these last 2, these are ones we set up again for the demo. These are GLSU custom validations. They only apply to GLSU postings, and you can set those up with an ABAP resource in your organization, and we can help you do that if you need to. So it gives you information. It brings them back all at once. I can actually click on these, and it'll take me to the spot in my workbook where those errors occur. So that's very nice if you have large entries. So in the interest of time, I'm going to go correct these really quick because I do know where they're at. So we can post this. So now I think I've corrected them all. I could go validate again if I wanted, but when I click on post up here, it will do that validation for me again very quickly. So I'm going to click post. You'll see it's validating. It's already done. It's now posting the document to SAP. And the first thing that will pop up here is a question. It's going to ask me if I want to attach this to the SAP document that I just posted. Now this message is configurable, so if you always want to attach without asking, it will do that automatically, or vice versa. If you never want to attach, it won't ask the question. This is just a user prompt. And again, in the interest of time, I am not going to attach this. And it tells me the document was posted. And another way I can see that is the document number got returned back to the document or to the template. So at this point, I could actually click, and I'm going to click because this doesn't take too long. I click on that. That's just a hyperlink, and it's going to take me directly into SAP. There's the entry that I just did, and everything that happens in SAP still happens. So if you want to see, there's my user ID. The session name down here actually says GLSU. So it's not circumventing anything in SAP. It's actually going through the same process, populating those same traces, I guess we'll call them. So at this point, I'm going to show you one last thing before we open this up for questions. And actually, Cindy, I'm going to address the first question that I see in there since I'm here. One of the questions is, are attached workbooks read-only? So if I had attached this workbook, I could go click on this. I could go into the Services for Object, find the attachment, and open that up. And yes, that is read-only. It opens up a copy of the document. That part of that is, I do believe you could change that document, and that's an SAP setting that you'll probably have to work out with your basis team as to whether or not people could change that document. I don't think you can, but there might be a way. I'm just not technical enough to know that question. But it is a copy of the document. Now, if I had attached this document, I can still come back to my workbook here in Excel, and I can use this again next month or next week, or I could change it and move forward. So I hope that answers your question. Now, at this point, I want to show you one last thing. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm on this document number up here. I'm going to come up here to my formula bar, and I'm going to copy the document number, just a Control-C, and I'm going to come over here to my demo sheet 2. I'm going to initialize. Again, it's a blank spreadsheet, and I told you the coolest thing about GLSU is this last thing. I'm going to create a template from something that was posted in SAP. Now, I just posted it 2 minutes ago, but again, this could be something I did 2 months ago or 6 months ago. When I click on that, I need to know 3 pieces of information. I need my document number, which I'm going to paste in there, my company code, which I know was 3000, and my fiscal year was 2016. If I have those 3 pieces of information, I'm going to click OK right now, and you'll see, hopefully the timing is right, in less than 5 seconds, I have a template with all of those fields that were in my original template. And even though the dollar amounts are populated, maybe I just need to change the dollar amounts and the date, and I'm ready to post this again. So it's a very quick way to create a template for some process that you always use, especially if you've been on SAP for a while. Now you see I have a business area here, and that wasn't on my original template, but SAP didn't know that. That got populated when we posted. You can train it to suppress certain fields if you know you don't want those to come back. But if I don't want this business area at this point, I can go up to Choose Fields. There's my business area. Double-click it, moves it off, and that field is now gone. So that's just a quick way to use what you've been doing in SAP before you own GLSU type of thing. So that's the extent of the demo today. I'm going to open this up for questions, and I'll pull up a slide with our contact information. But Cindy, do you want to give me any questions that are out there?
I can. The first question we have is, if the document is parked, will it record the document number on the template?
The answer to that is yes. So just as you saw what I did, I posted the document and it brought back a document number. That is the posted document number from SAP. If I had parked that document, I would get the parked document number from SAP, the exact same process that you saw, but it would just be whatever the parked document series number is, but the same process, yes.
Okay. Another question we have, are templates dependable on the document type? Do you have to have a different template for different document types?
No, you don't have to have a different template. If you have different document types, you can, one thing I didn't show you, there's a way to what we call drop header functionality, where you can bring some of those header fields down into the line item section, for instance, document type. And when you do that and you bring that document type down, anytime the document type changes, it will start a new document. So I could have posted, let's say, 4 different document types on a single sheet just by bringing that field down into the line items. And we have a very good example of that if you want to see a full-blown demo at some point. But that's a very good question. Thank you for that.
Great.
We probably have time for maybe one more, Cindy.
Okay. Let's see. One common question that we hear a lot is, does your software require extra hardware, and does it require a separate server?
The answer to that is no. The files that we send, they are transports, and they're relatively small, but you do not need a separate, any additional hardware. The files go directly on your SAP server. Like I said, they are in our namespace, so it won't screw up anything that you currently have. And we actually have, and this is part of our next steps here, we actually have a test period where you can download it onto your test system and use our product for 30 days, and this is for all 3 products, for 30 days without obligation, without trial or without purchasing or anything like that. So you can actually test it, make sure it does exactly what you need going forward. I do see one additional question. Well, actually 2. Let me hit on these really quick, Cindy. Is there any additional configuration for documents greater than 950 lines? There is, and it's very, very easy. We help you do that. You'll have to put in a balancing account, a balancing GL account for anybody who's going to be posting those large documents. And what happens, it will post the 998 lines, and then it'll balance it into that balancing account that you specify, and then it'll start another document. And by the time you're done with, let's say, 8 or 10 documents, that balancing account will be 0. So yes, there is a very slight bit of configuration, but it's merely putting in a balancing account. And then the last question, can I get a copy of this demo? Maybe this might be, Cindy, do you want to touch on that one, I guess? You can kind of wrap this up.
Sure, I'd be glad to. A recorded version of the webinar will be available. We will send you the link that you can review and share with others in your organization. And also, if you would like to schedule a more detailed WebEx demonstration, or as Tim mentioned, our 30-day free trial of Glsu, just contact the option and we will be more than happy to provide you with additional information. So just to wrap up, thank you, Tim, for presenting today, and thank you, everyone, for joining in. We appreciate you attending, and we hope you have a wonderful day.